Hey guys, welcome back to the Wally modelling series. Lazarus here for Tuts Plus again, and in the next couple of parts we're hopefully going to finish up this connection piece where we left off last time. So we made this sort of outer shell for him. So I do have another reference on the side that I done, so I'll quickly show you that while I'm working off. So I just quickly done these shots of the piece that I already done before. So I know what I'm doing, sort of thing. So let's go ahead and get started. We first probably going to go ahead and create this sort of shield thing that sits on the side. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's just go ahead and grab a pipe and drag it out just roughly the right size, drag up some height for him, and play with the thickness. That should be fine. And then we're going to use the scale tool to go ahead and squash this a bit. And I think we're also going to go ahead and make this a little bit taller. So I'm just going to scale it up, something like that. Okay, so once we have that, we're going to go ahead and probably squish it a little bit more. And also let's have a look in the top view to see how this is looking. So let's just go into my top view and let's have a look. Okay, so that looks pretty good. It deforms a bit too much on this side, so I'm going to scale it also this way. But that should be fine. So let's go ahead and quickly add in the edge loops that we need. So I'm going to tear this panel off so I can get my tools a bit easier. So let's go ahead and start adding in the edge loops that we need. So this will keep its shape. One in there. Okay, so usual edge loop business. Let's go ahead and add one there as well. And as you can tell, I'm doing it super rough because I don't want to spend ages on adding these loops in. And but you can go ahead and spend some more time, make sure that these are placed correctly. So we need one more in here, like so. And I think that is it. Let's go ahead and smooth this. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and place this to the right place. Let's go ahead and rotate this 90 degrees on the Z. And then with the move tool, I'm just going to hold down V and snap it to this piece. Okay, just so it gets roughly in the right place. And then we're going to have to go ahead and scale this around to make sure we get the right sort of size. So I'm going to move this up to roughly around here, and I'm just looking at my reference, making sure that I place it roughly in the right place. So let's go ahead and scale this up a bit more, maybe something like that should do the trick. And width-wise, it looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and make this a little bit thicker. Well, if you drag it out, it will be like so. Push in a bit more. Oops. Let's just select that piece, move it in a bit more, and then scale it up. So yeah, that should be pretty good. So once we have that, we can go ahead and start working on all these inner pieces that will sort of connect these pieces up. Now, if you do rig him later on, this sort of setup might not work properly, so you might have to make some changes to this, but for the time being, modeling wise, it looks pretty cool. From the practical standpoint of view, it might not work properly, so you might have to go ahead and if we do rig him, we might have to go ahead and do some changes to this piece so it actually works from a mechanical standpoint as well. So let's go ahead and start off with this sort of main support piece that sits here. So we're going to use just a cube and just drag out a rough size for it, probably around roughly there. I'm just going to go into my side view and drag out some thickness. Okay, that's probably a bit too thick, probably somewhere around there. And we're also going to go ahead and just select the main body piece, and that is shell, and we don't actually need that piece, so let's go ahead and just isolate these because this is going to sit inside there. So let's just go ahead and quickly adding the edge loops for this, so this will hold its shape. We don't really have to smooth this, but we might as well if we already smoothed everything else, and we're not too worried about the poly count. He's already going to be pretty heavy. I think the final piece is around 5 million polys, and that's, I mean, we haven't done all the cleanups for him, so deleting the back faces that are not seen and stuff like that, but it's pretty heavy already. So I'm just going to add in a couple of edge loops in here as well, so we don't have these long faces in here. We're just going to select this and drag it down, and this will just make sure that it will smooth a little bit nicer. So let's go ahead and position this in the front view. So this main support seems pretty goddamn big, but that's fine. Just going to turn on X-ray so I see what I'm doing a little bit better. So it's probably going to be around that thick, and it's a bit too tall, but it's fine. Now let's go ahead and rotate this, probably around that much, and then position this somewhere along here. So I'm just looking at my reference, and what you got to pay attention to is this relationship to this corner. Okay, so that's how I'm lining it up. So this is going to have to come out a bit more. There's a little bit of a gap there, and okay, that looks pretty much where it needs to be. I'll probably drag down these faces a bit more, somewhere around there, and then go ahead and smooth it. Okay, so this is the main support piece. We're also going to go ahead and isolate these, and then go ahead in our side view, make sure that everything is lined up. So let's go ahead and drag this inside of that shell, which also means we're going to have to go ahead and just scale it down a little bit. Okay, somewhere along there, that looks good. Let's have a look in our perspective mode, and we'll probably make this a little even more thin, so somewhere along there. Okay, so that should do it. Let's just have a look in the side view again, make sure, position this in the center. You can line it up with that edge there, so it's roughly in the middle. Okay, so that's good. Let's go ahead and attach some of these screws, I think, next, or let me just think what's the best way. We might make this sort of shell for him next, actually. Let's go ahead and do that. So let's come out of our isolation mode, and let's go ahead and create a cube again, just roughly the right size, like so. And then I'm gonna select both of the bottom faces and hit extrude, and then come down in my offset. Oops, make sure that slow down my slider. Okay, so you're gonna drag it out roughly around there, and hit extrude again, go to thickness, push it in a bit, and I'm not sure if this is gonna work, but let's go ahead and try to bridge. And yep, it didn't work. So let's go ahead and just delete them two faces, okay? And then we're just gonna use, you can either use the target merge vertex tool, so snap them up, and probably that's the easiest way. Let's just go ahead and do that. Okay, and this last one, we can go ahead and delete this edge. Okay, cool. So that's pretty much done. Let's go ahead, and we can also go ahead and reroute this edge so it goes around, but it's kind of pointless really. So let's just go ahead and add in the edge loops for this. So one on the bottom, let's go add one in halfway, so it will smooth a little bit better. Okay, so that's good. Let's go ahead and add these on the top. And the reason why I said we can reroute this, because if I just undo this, if we add in a loop here, as you can tell, we're going to have to add a loop on every corner as well as this bit. So that's why it's a little bit of a pain to add in the edge loops for a shape like this, where the edge loop don't go around this way, but it doesn't really matter in this case. So let's just go ahead and do it this way. Okay, so let's go ahead and add in these in loops as well, one halfway and one on the bottom. Okay, so that's pretty good. And now let's go ahead and add these on the bottom. And this should hold its shape pretty well. Let's go ahead and smooth it, see what it's look like. And just turn off that wireframe. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and try to put this to the right place. Again, I'm just going to hold down double view and snap it probably to that worked up there, and then drag it on the side. And obviously this will need a lot of scaling, but that's fine. Let's go ahead and scale it down. Drag it down here, make sure that this will sort of cover this bit up. And I had a look at the real Wally. He doesn't actually have this piece. This is just sort of like a way of covering this up. But in the real Wally, as far as I could tell, this sort of bar that extends up and down, we're sort of going to cheat this. But in him, he basically have a gap in here. So imagine having two edge loops here and here, and then this face is pushed inside his body, and that's where this sort of bar sits and moves. Okay, for us, we're just sort of going to cheat it. And if you open the door, it is see-through, so we're sort of going to have to be careful that this doesn't penetrate too much inside of the body. So if I just turn this on and go into my vertex mode in this, we can always drag these down so it doesn't penetrate as much. So this is the sort of shell that we have, so I can always just grab these as well and push them down like so. And when if we do rig them later, we can always cheat this in a way, or redo it in a different way, okay? Like so. And now if we open the door, that piece is not seen, okay? Cool, so that's roughly the right place now. Let's go ahead and push it back a bit more, like so. Okay, so that looks pretty cool, okay? So let's go ahead and quickly add a couple of these sort of screw things that will hold the supporting bars for this main piece. Let's go ahead and do that. And I think I've done it a different way last time, but we're gonna do it sort of easier way this time. I'm actually just going to use one sort of cylinder for this. So let's go ahead and add one roughly in the center of this, and it's not as big as the reference. As you can tell, I'm making it a lot smaller. And then let's go ahead and give this some height, if it would work. It doesn't want to work, so let's go ahead and extrude it. And that doesn't want to work either, so let me just go ahead and delete this and make a new one in my front view. Let's just drag one out, roughly that big, and hopefully it gave it a height this time. There we go. So again, I'm going to go ahead in my side view and try to position this in the center. So I'm going to select that cylinder that we just made and that pipe, then isolate them, and I'm going to go ahead and pop this in the center. And then if I go into my inputs, I can give it some extra height, like so. Okay, so let's see how this is looking now. Turn off X-ray, and don't need it that thick. I mean, there will be a sort of bar sitting on this, but we still don't need it this big, so I'm just going to turn it down roughly around there, and we can always go ahead and play around with this later. So let's go ahead and isolate this and quickly add in all the loops that we need. So let's go ahead and select these faces, extrude, scale in. Oh, actually we can go ahead and do that with offset easier. So let's go ahead and give it an offset. Okay, that should do it. And now let's go ahead and insert the loops. I'll add one halfway as well, so we don't have these long faces. I haven't been doing it in the other parts, but it's mainly just because I've forgotten to do them. I did do them on some of the pieces, but it doesn't really make too much difference. It will just give us a better smooth. So yeah, that's all good to go. If you want, you can add extra detail to this. I'm just going to leave this one as it is for now. I mean, it hardly ever gets seen if you've seen the final renders that I've done of him, so we don't have to go super crazy on these pieces really. So now I'm just going to go ahead and actually I'm going to go ahead and scale this one down a little bit more, a little bit smaller, then duplicate it and drag one down here in the center of this, and this one is actually going to be a tiny bit bigger, so scale that one up. And then let's go ahead and duplicate this one more time. There will be one sitting in this, and it's actually in the center of this bar, so it's not where that reference is, and it's also going to be a lot smaller, somewhere around there. And duplicate one more time, and there'll be one sitting down here as well, and it's even smaller. And actually I think this is that small as well, so let's go and duplicate this, move it up, and we'll have to give it we'll have to make these a bit longer. Okay, so that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and duplicate this one and move it roughly around here. And let's go ahead and sort out the height for these. Okay, so obviously this one's a bit too long, so let's go ahead and scale this in. And don't forget to leave enough gap that when we join these up, it will look good. Okay, so I'm just looking at my reference. This one actually needs to be quite long. We'll leave that one as it is. We'll leave that one as it is, and let's go ahead and sort out these ones. So let's go ahead and scale this one out roughly there, just so we see that it's there, and then we'll play around with the right size of it later. Okay, so we got those sort of caps in there, and now we just gotta do the bar that sort of joins these up. Okay, and there's quite a lot of them down here as well, and up here as well. So yeah, let's go ahead, and before we dive into that, let's go ahead and finish the inner part of this. So we're just going to borrow one of these cylinders from here again and drag it up. So there'll be two of these. Again, this piece is sort of cheated in a way that it might not actually work in real life. Well, most likely it wouldn't work in real life, but we can cheat things like that in CG, so it doesn't really matter unless you want to go super crazy about this. So yeah, we're gonna have two of these sitting. There'll be one here on the top half, and then there'll be one on the bottom half. Okay, and then there will be a bigger cylinder, so duplicate this one and rotate this 90 degrees. And let's go ahead and scale this up, and then scale it in this direction, move it down, inside. Okay, so basically this is what this looks like. Let's go ahead, and in my top view I just want to go ahead and make sure that it's positioned correctly, or somewhat correctly. Let's go ahead and turn on my X-ray if I find it. There we go. Right, so let's go ahead and also move these ones into the center-ish. Okay, and that one. And now I'm just going to go ahead and scale this up a bit more. And then have a look in my side view, make sure that it's not sticking out anywhere, and that it's in the right place in my side view as well. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and turn off my X-ray. And this is sticking out. So I'm just going to go to vertex, unsmooth it, and then just drag these in a tad. Okay, and let's just check that a bit. Okay, so it's all good. So basically, the way this would work is, let me just come out and explain my thought process behind it. I didn't really put a lot of thought behind this, but I thought this way it might work quite well. So basically there is an arm, this joint piece is connected to that in here, okay, and then this one is connected up there, that one is connected up there. So basically this cylinder will sort of rotate this way, and that will allow this whole thread to tilt, okay, and these could rotate, I guess, up and down to make the whole thread rotate that way, okay. So basically that's the plan, but it might not work, so we might have to change it around, but modeling's sake it looks cool, so that's what matters. So we're going to wrap this one up here, and we're going to go ahead in the next part, we're going to go ahead and create these joint things for the thread, and then the thread will be completed, okay. So I'll see you guys in the next part, and thanks for watching.